humid day, 28 degrees, and mostly cloudy. And I'm sure that you're having a real day. Traffic conditions depends on where you are on the mainland, on the island. It is beginning to peak as people make their way to their homes. If you're just closing work, happy are you. But I know a number of people just getting into the dig of work. Thank you very much, millions of people in Lagos who tuned into this station. All our programming, I'm sure you're enjoying everything beginning from Wemimo and Sheriff Morning Crossfire all the way to Onyechi Midday Dialogue and Collins Teke, during the Lunchtime magazine. And I will take you all the way from now till 6:55, right? And then Femi and the gang there. And Gordon Osuko will intersperse now and again with the news, and the news guys providing all the background information with our correspondents here in Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt, and Kano, providing you with all the information you need to know. Sandra Ezekwesili sends her regards. Those of you asking me, where you go hide Sandra in? She's on leave, and I'm sure she's having a swell time, and we'll be back soon. So, big story today was supposed to be all clear and all landed 320 Nigerians from South Africa. But now we understand that those Nigerians at the Oliver Tambo International Airport in Johannesburg will not be arriving today because the plane which is supposed to bring them back to town, we understand that weren't given a landing permit. Our aviation correspondent Joy Carly is on standby, and she'll be giving us up-to-date report on this one as it happens. We have a packed-out show today, piled up all the way to the rafters. We're chasing the biggest stories in town, all the way from, like I said earlier, Johannesburg to Katangoa Market. Katangoa is in Abulegba in Lagos State, is where Chukwudi Ezekwesili is going to be doing the community you report from. It's also, very, very notorious for hand-me-down goods, clothing, and everything you're looking for. You find Katangoa Market. On the big three, we're just hours away, but no more hours, but maybe a day away from Nigerians returning. We'll talk about that one. Also, very importantly, this big story, 10,000 is a number which is going to trend for today, I guess. 10,000 number of girls that have been forced into prostitution, according to Nigeria's top diplomat in Burkina Faso. Really troubling, and I'll delve into that on the big three. Also, another big story, 10,000 policemen. You remember when President Muhammadu Buhari announced that this was supposed to buoy up the numbers of security operatives in the country, but that number remains controversial because we still haven't been able to arrive at that. The head of the Police Service Commission for Nigeria says that's former Commissioner of Police Musliu Smith says that maybe some light at the end of the tunnel of this one. Says the president's lieutenants are onto the story, but we may still be reading this story a year later without any thing up yet. So that's going to be our last story on the big three. And then also too, we will get, I said earlier on, Chukwudi is on Community U Report, is a guest at Katangoa Market. He's going to be taking a dive into this popular hand-me-down hub. And one question we're going to be asking Chukwudi, and I'm sure which will be of great importance, is Nigeria's inflation rate dipped to 11.03%. I did hear during the news, as also during Tunji Andrews' money, business, and economy. So that's also something we're also going to be looking at while it happens. And very, very, very importantly also too, we'll also be looking at on the big hard fact, big talking point will be on a story that has been generating a lot of comments, controversies. There are misrepresentations, there are also facts, but we'll have two chartered accountants and two public affairs analysts tell us some more about the value-added tax. Interestingly, both of them were in Abuja when the Minister of Finance on the sidelines of a presentation of the medium-term expenditure framework talk about how this was supposed to help improve the country's earnings and, more importantly, the minimum wage debate is what the government says. The reason why we must have this value-added tax. So, fasten the seat belts because we are ready, set, and strapped to go on.
This is the Big Three.
The Big Three.
On Hard Facts. On 99.3 Nigeria Info. On the Big Three on 99.3 Nigeria Info. This is the Big Three.
The Big Three.
On Hard Facts. On 99.3 Nigeria Info.
All right, welcome back. It is 28 minutes past 3 in the city of Lagos. I am Aghogho Oboh, and this the Big Three, and we're looking at big stories happening right about now. And it's such a fluid situation. Just as you step in, the story continues to develop. You can join the conversation on Twitter. We're also streaming this live on Facebook. So I'd love to read your comments once I get them out there. And also, very importantly, on WhatsApp, I know a number of you would want to send your messages on WhatsApp. Before I do open the lines for you to converse with us, the number on WhatsApp, again, if you don't have it, is 0809 597 5805. Again, 0809 597 5805. That's our number on WhatsApp. So just as I stepped into the studio, I told you earlier on that the airpiece plane, which was supposed to evacuate Nigerians from South Africa, wasn't granted landing permit, and which is also what was on the news. But just as I stepped in, we've got an update to that story, which says that finally they have been granted a landing permit. So the airpiece flight B777, which was supposed to evacuate 320 Nigerians. So 187 arrived the first time. So took away 320 from 187 from 320. We'll have about how good is my math? We'll have 133. Yeah, 133. I'm good. Yeah? So 133 Nigerians should be arriving, according to the consular officer for Nigeria in Johannesburg, Godwin Adama. Joining me here now in the studio, she should have been on the field, but Joy Carlo, aviation correspondent, is reporting live from the airport. She's live in the studio because of this story. Is developing quicker that can get her to the airport. So, Joy.
Yeah.
So you've been safe from having to go wait at the airport for
Honestly,
another.
we were actually on our way to the airport.
Right.
When we called Mrs. Abike, the chairman of the Nigerian Industrial Commission,
Good.
and she said from the feelers she's getting, they may not be landing today. So as soon as she said that, okay. So I said, what's the update? She said they were not giving landing permits.
Yeah.
As at when I spoke with her, she said Air Peace was not giving landing permits, and the aircraft is still parked at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport. They won't set off until that landing permit is granted them.
Yeah.
So, but as soon as I got in, I got another report saying that they have been granted the landing permit. So by now they should be setting off.
All right, so you heard it here on 99.3 Nigeria Info. There's a landing permit now for that plane, and the plane will take off. Barring any further incidents, it should arrive in South Africa, let's say 6 hours from now, which will be 9:10 p.m. Crews had a long day, I guess, so they probably want to rest, and then tomorrow morning they will set back to Nigeria, and then Joy will be giving us up-to-date report as it happens from there. But Joy, you were there when the first batch of Nigerians returned from South Africa, and you did see such an emotional event, especially for relatives of the Nigerians at the airport. What usually happens while the wait is on for many of the relatives of the Nigerians being expected?
Honestly, in fact, it was an emotional one because a lot of them were so excited and they expressed it. In fact, as soon as they disembarked from the aircraft, they started singing. They were joyous. They were happy.
What sort of songs were they singing?
Like, we are back to Nigeria. They were singing national anthem.
I thought they were
We
here.
belong to
Oh,
Nigeria.
my home, when shall I see
Oh yes,
my
I think
home?
yes. Some of them actually sang, that kind of song.
Okay.
They actually expressed that joy, and their relatives were out there waiting for them. And one or two I spoke with, they were like, I wouldn't want my relative to go back to South Africa. They cannot be killed in this manner in the same African country. So it's better for them to return back to their country.
And very importantly, Abike Dabirewa had talked about some sort of support the government was going to provide for people who had returned.
Yeah, she said they'll be giving
provide them
loans.
Loans, okay,
Yeah,
good.
they'll be giving loans and about 40,000 naira airtime, both for data, for calls. Yeah, they are also going to be taking care of their transportation on that day. In fact, the essence is they want to be able to keep in touch with them. They want to ensure that these persons that have returned for South Africa, there will be no regrets.
Yeah.
The government is ensuring that every support that it has, it will give to them.
Because this is some sort of litmus test on how we're able to take care of them. Because I've been hearing a number of people, because of the Libyan example too, several Nigerians, hundreds, if not thousands, have returned from Libya after the oust of Muammar Gaddafi, and then, the horrendous stories that have happened there, and then the fact that many have come back, and we still haven't been able to say, for example, how many of them have been able to get their life started. So this provides a real opportunity. And she's been very vocal, Abike Dabirewa. I know she's had a press conference yesterday saying that it's important that the states where this
Where
people
they
have
come
returned
from, that they should be able to assimilate them, help them to reunite with their families. Very key. Nobody should discriminate. They are not deportees. These people willingly, they are returning because of the violent attacks in South Africa. So we should accept them as our brothers, as our sisters.
Very, very important. And then also to just touching bases with what is going on in South Africa. I did check South African media to see how much coverage this story is getting. Just to say, short of being embarrassed, really embarrassed that Cyril Ramaphosa sending out people and envoys to different African countries to apologize for what has happened. And one event, Radebe is the one who came into Nigeria to offer a public apology to President Muhammadu Buhari, who incidentally, both of them are scheduled to have a meeting next month in Johannesburg. And it'll be important to hear many of the sticky points, like compensation for people whose properties have been damaged, how that will go. What did you hear at the airport from them, for those who returned with respect to their businesses destroyed?
The South African government initially was saying that nobody died, nobody was killed.
Right.
But the returnees said people were killed. People were stabbed, properties were destroyed, cars were burnt. So they said this thing, this is what they experienced in South Africa. It's not like they're talking about someone else, it happened to them. So I don't know when the South African government comes out to say nobody was killed, there was no xenophobic attack and all that. So people are saying it happened.
Yeah, it did happen. And especially when you hear from the horse's mouth, it's something that is of great concern. I'm going to open the phone line so you can converse with me and Joy on this story which is developing. In case you do not know, now we know that The Air Peace plane, which was supposed to bring back the Nigerians, over 100 of them to the country, make up 320 in all. The first batch of Nigerians to return to the country, has finally been granted landing permit. So they are going to leave. The plane will leave the Murtala Mohammed Airport, where it was packed all through, waiting for this permit to come. Now that it's come, they'll head to Johannesburg, do the routine things, and then bring back the Nigerians who agreed voluntarily to return to the country. Our numbers, in case you don't have them: 012770993. That's for the female callers, and then the other lines, which is open to everyone, is 012771993, 012772993, 012773993. I take about 3 calls, and then I get to the second story. Hello. Hello. Okay, we don't have that call there. Hello.
Hello. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
This is Peter from Ikorodu.
Hello, Peter. I guess you win an award one day, Peter. Peter is always regular.
No problem. I'm waiting for that.
Well, thank you very much for your consistency.
The fact means that I want to refer to Uncle Lai, who come on here to debunk all story from South Africa that is not happening. That is a fake news. And you can imagine whether Okulai is information minister for South Africa. You understand?
Right.
And then another thing on the side of Minister of Information is a situation where he did not realize that he's an information minister for Nigeria. He's not information minister for APC. You can imagine. We have relations there. Almost everybody have relations in South Africa. Apart from the one on social media, we have vivid information. If I want to tell you sincerely speaking, I have some people who have come back before this incident.
Wow.
Because of humiliations and all these things. And another thing I want to say here is that the South Africa police are accomplices in this matter. Which means that their government is in support of what is happening. Because if their government is not in support, they only do rally, protest for one day.
Right.
When Nigeria was killed here in Nigeria.
Right.
Nothing like that happened in South Africa. And another thing is that our president said that they will do the collateral this thing. And somebody is saying that they want to go and meet president. Our president is going to South Africa for a meeting on October 1st. That meeting has been scheduled before now. It's not because of this situation is going. So alongside, this situation might be discussed, but the meeting has already been scheduled even more than 2 months ago. It's not because of this situation. That is to set the record straight. So the way Nigeria are taking us, and it is because none of their relations is involved.
Okay, Peter.
That is why they are behaving like this.
Thank you very much, Peter.
So posterity will judge everybody in this government.
We'll have to leave it at that, Peter. Thank you very much for your comment. I think I can squeeze in one more call. I can rush to the second story. Who do we have? Hello.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Brilliant. What's your name, please, and where are you calling from? Hello? Okay, looks like we missed that one. Okay, hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Great to have you join us on 99.3 Nigeria Info. What's your name, where are you calling from?
My name is Ekundayo, I'm calling you from Ikorodu.
All right, Ekundayo, you have the floor.
Yeah, just to rewind, when this issue of attacks started recently,
yes,
we Nigerians think very well. If we try to remember things, about 2 years ago, the attacks actually started. And they were burning, I remember they burnt one Nigerian that had a car park and all this. It was running a car garage. It was burned down. You know, so it's not a new thing, what is happening. But you see, the angle I want to consider, it looks like all that is happening is a state policy of South Africa. When this latest attack started, there was a police chief. I think they said deputy minister.
Well, that was in 2017, which isn't related to this
so
story.
it has a background. Okay, recently, like last week, the Minister of Defense of South Africa actually said that they are an angry nation. So, and look at what happened today.
But we must always put things in context so that, an angry nation because of the income distribution problems they have within the country. So, those are things.
If a defense minister can say such a thing,
but
I don't think that any Nigerian should remain in South Africa.
Well, but angry nation not in the extent of attacking people, but angry nation because of the poverty that is going on, especially within the blacks in South Africa. But I get your point, Ekundayo. Thank you very much. So we can move on to the other stories. And when I go through these other stories, Joyce might be because she's wondering why I'm leaving her still on, because we have a second story which is tied to the first story, which is a story of the first story of 10,000. And then the other one is also of 10,000. But this is very important because Joy, incidentally, has worked on something close to this before. Now, we have a report, saying that the Nigerian ambassador to Burkina Faso, Ramatu Ahmed, saying that no fewer than 10,000 Nigerian girls are forced into prostitution in Burkina Faso. And she was speaking with the news agency of Nigeria in the country's capital, Ouagadougou. Now, the victims, according to the ambassador of the sex trade, are mainly underage girls. They've been kept in appalling conditions in Ouagadougou and in mining camps. She's been the ambassador of Nigeria to Burkina Faso since 2017. And in 2 years, she says, at least 200 Nigerians have been voluntarily repatriated. That's rather this year alone, 200 this year alone, according to the ambassador. Many of the girls who were promised jobs in the country and Europe by the human traffickers are not willing to return home. This is a direct quote from Nigeria's ambassador to Burkina Faso, Ramatu Ahmed, saying that the spate of human trafficking here in Burkina Faso is a big concern to the embassy because at present we have nothing less than 10,000 Nigerian girls who have been trafficked into Burkina Faso as commercial sex workers. And most of these girls are underage, most left schools and are roaming about doing commercial sex work in Burkina Faso. Also shed some light on some other organizations who are working to get these girls back to the country. And many of them are not reported. This is a huge problem, Joe. I know you worked on a story with agency for the NAPTIP looking at human trafficking. But just here in the West African coast, we have a huge problem. The numbers are shocking, 10,000. Let's talk about some of the factors that have made this to happen, where young girls are being lured away from the country in the hope of getting a better life. Unfortunately, it's a pipe dream.
Yeah, it's an issue of greener pastures. Why do you want to go? So they are being deceived, actually. Like the NAPTIP zonal chairman or so, when I spoke with him, he said, these girls are being deceived. They will tell you when you get there, we'll give you a job. When you get there, you see things better off than where you're coming from. And then you willingly accept. By the time when you cross over to the other country, you see the reverse is the case.
Yes.
So it's not always as rosy as they initially thought.
Yes.
So it's a huge problem. It's a huge problem in Africa. I don't know how this can actually be curbed. Child trafficking is a huge problem in Africa.
The embassy says they're working with the international organization on migration. And they're also doing some other stuff with civil society organizations. Some churches also involved in trying to get the girls back home. But they're concerned, that's the embassy, that most of its money meant for West Africa is used to repatriate Nigerians back home, and they're complaining that with time they will not be able to cope with the numbers. So that's the IOM, International Organization for Migration, says it's monies that is supposed to use for migration work and all this stuff, administrative purpose. It's being used to migrate Nigerians back to their countries, many of them who've been deceived to go to countries like Burkina Faso. So this is what the ambassador says, that if the embassy alone has repatriated 200 girls, you can imagine how many girls the IOM has repatriated and the reason that they are complaining. And the reason why this has been brought to the fore is because of the numbers. And 10,000, if you can imagine these numbers, I mean, in a single year, you've done 200 already. it means that the capacity will be stretched. Consular activities and what they should be getting involved in are things that we're not supposed that are things they're not really getting a handle of. So the ambassador, in the final note with the interview that I read in, says that I am pleading with Nigerian parents that they should know what their children are doing. If you ask me, it's still a bit feeble in dealing with, because the people who are involved with this are doing this for the profit.
They're doing it for the profit.
Sometimes when you're going to fight profit, merchants, the way they're doing in this sort of way, it takes more than just advising people, and you have to really fight them with the resources.
Trust me, there must be a
yes, because if the IOM has put money into something to fight a problem and they're already complaining on the strain it's having on their resources. I know many Nigerian embassies or diplomatic outposts, many of them are not just running on shoestring budgets many times and cannot even cope with consular activities. How much more to cope with problems such as this, where they will have to fight against the so-called madams and ogas who are involved in this human trafficking. But I see a number of lines blinking, so I'm going to quickly take in your calls to this story. 10,000, the number. First 10,000 I'm talking about today are Nigerian girls who have been trafficked to Burkina Faso. That's just one West African country. We got 16 West African countries, and so you can imagine by the time we do the roll call how many of them are involved in forced prostitution in several other West African countries. Let's hear what you have to say. Who do we have first to the block on this story? Hello, good afternoon.
Yeah, my name is Frederick.
All right.
Hello,
good afternoon.
Yeah.
What's your name again, please?
Frederick.
Say that again.
Frederick.
All right, Frederick. Where are you calling from, Frederick?
Maja.
All right, Frederick, please go ahead.
I want you to remember when Ghana Must Go happened. Before then, the Ghanaian economy was in shambles. I mean, the whole of Nigeria, the prostitutes were Ghanaian.
Yes.
And we were laughing at them then. But it was because the economy was bad. So anywhere in the world that the government and the people ruling are managing the economy, the first group of people to suffer are women and children. This will continue until, look at today, now the Nigerian girls are now the prostitutes in Ghana and in other African countries. Can you imagine it? It shows.
Oh, sorry about that. Do try call back again. I see Frank is on standby from Yaba. Frank, please go ahead.
Yes. First of all, the case of these girls in Burkina Faso.
Yeah.
10,000 is staggering.
Staggering, my brother.
That amount of. Do you know how many people are in 1,000? 100, 600, 500, 1,000. Now we have 10,000. That is enough to provoke a national outcry. I don't know what is happening with I don't know what is happening. Unfortunately, this is what we have to live with in a country that does not think about, the well-being of the citizenry. You understand? Because, and again, this anyway, I don't really know what they are doing. I know NAPTIP and some NGOs are doing that, but what is government actually doing about this? Now, I also want to talk briefly about the South African issue.
Please go ahead.
Now, you see, the issue there is that since, thank God they have given them permit to land, let them pack their things and come back home. Now, that Ramaphosa, the envoy that he sent was an afterthought. It was an account of the booing he got, the jeering and the bullying and the hectoring he got from the Zimbabwe. You understand? Right. It's not as if he's really committed towards ensuring that foreigners in South Africa will be safe. You understand? Because there is this complicity of both governments, because the government there have failed. Unemployment is rising, so the only way they can explain it to the people is that foreigners are taking up your job. Whereas the party, the ANC, has failed the people. You understand? So at that level, you understand that it will still continue. You understand? Anybody that has sense now will, should start buckling their shoes and start coming home. You understand?
All right.
So forget about. And again, I think that our government, I don't know, because I hear that Mr. President said he's going to do this or that to make sure that the relationship between us and them, and it's like we are begging them, sort of. We have to take some stringent actions.
All right.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much. And what I'm going to do very quickly is get a third story so that I can take in as many calls as possible. And so message on WhatsApp is to quickly run to the third story rather. The next 10,000. Remember that President Muhammad Buhari had talked about, ordered that 10,000 policemen be recruited. And after a while, we got into the ajibaji about that one. The politics got into it, and eventually we still haven't been able to get those. Even though the deficit for policemen in the country runs into several hundreds of thousands, we've still not been able to at least get up to half, which should be about 2.6 million going by the UN standard for policing to communities and Nigeria's population vis-a-vis what we have on ground. We shot by 300,000. We're about 300,000, whereas we should be at 2.6 billion, the long and short of the matter. Now, we understand that the chairman of the Police Service Commission, Musli Smith, remember, he used to be the Commissioner of Police, Inspector General of Police rather, well in Lagos State also, Commissioner of Police also too. Now, Smith says that in a press statement after he submitted a report that President Muhammad Buhari is set to intervene in the dispute between the Police Service Commission and the Nigerian police over the recruitment. And he was asked whether the dispute was discussed when the Police Service Commission's report for last year was submitted to President Buhari. And he said it is before the president. So for those of you who've been wondering what exactly is going on, this is just to prompt you that very soon we will have some more information about what is going on. But it's just a bit baffling that it's taking all of this plus a yearly report to see this come to the front burner again. Meanwhile, security continues to suffer direly in the hands of the available security we have and meager resources. So that's the third story, and I can open the lines now for you to have your say on any of the three stories or even all. I beg, just try with one story so you can be kind to the other callers who want to have their own say. So here we go. Okay, so while we're trying to get in, okay, we already have one. Hello, good afternoon.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Grandpa Christopher, Engineer Kikiade is on the line from Prayer City.
All right, and Kikiade, great to hear you.
I miss Sandra also. You just said that she's on leave.
Yeah, she's on leave.
But anyway, she will come back hale and hearty in Jesus' name.
Yes,
amen.
Sure. Amen. Thank you.
Number one, I think South Africa is not being fair to us. Let's just put it that way. I hope the plane, Air Nigeria, is Air Peace, you said. Is it an NGO plane? Is it? Because somebody donated that air flight. Is it a Nigerian government plane?
It's a private airline that has offered chartered services to the government of Nigeria, but it's a Nigerian airline.
Okay, yeah, but is Nigerian government going to pay for that?
Yes, they will have to pay. Well, in the statement put out by the man, he said that he was doing it out of his own kind heart as a patriot.
That's what I heard at the beginning before they started the airlift. The federal government must pay him if we spend 150 days presidential jet standing on ground in Britain. I mean, he's
done the estimate of it, saying it's about 280 million naira.
And when they come back now, each state must be able to help all these people because I know they went on their own free will and they volunteered to come back, but we should help them. When we have a lot of IDP camps or whatever they call it, whatever, what is the abbreviation? Internally displaced people. These people are going to join them again. Nigeria is in there. Anyway, 10,000 people in Burkina Faso, you say, that are for participation.
Right.
They are more than that in the whole of West Africa. They go to, actually we're still they are still bringing back some people from Tripoli, Libya. Nigerians, I don't know, it's because somebody mentioned that economy in this country will not allow people to stay put, actually. As we are talking now, those who are landing from South Africa, some of them they are still looking for a way to go back. I'm telling you. That is the same thing for the Libyan people, deportees. Anyway, about the police, until we have the police, if each state must have its own police structure, so that we should. Since last year, they wanted to recruit only 10,000. We need more than 1 million police to police 200 million people.
Right.
No, 10,000 is not enough at all, and the government is dilly-dallying with our life. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Engineer Kikiade. Is that Olabisi?
This is not Olabisi. This is Okosisi.
Okosisi. My eyes were playing tricks with me. All right, Okosisi.
From Okota.
All right, from
Please,
Okota. Yes, sir.
See, what is happening in the world is one thing that the scripture has said. According to Bible book of Luke chapter 21 verse 25, it said that there will be signs in the moon, star, and on the earth, anguish of...
All right, so that I think is that. Can I take in one more call? Okay, I think I can take one call before we go on the break. Hello.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Aghogho.
What's your name, please?
My name is Hope from Ibejuleki.
What a great way to end the conversation on a hopeful note, eh?
Yeah, I want to comment on the Burkina Faso Nigerian girls there.
Please go on.
It's a pity that is happening like this. This is exactly what happened when Ghana had a problem. All their ladies were running out to Nigeria, and any hotel you go, you see Ghana girls everywhere. It's a pity that because our government not taking care of Nigerian citizens, because that's why all these things are happening. So I believe that the problem is on our government. And moreover, they don't want to listen, they don't want to find a solution to it because of the type of salary the politicians are taking. The money we have in this country can cater for all this. So that's my own take. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. And that brings an end to the Big Three, and we will take a quick break. When we come back, I will be joining Chukwudi Ezekwesili at Kontogowa Market at Abulegba, where he will be telling me what to make of a market that has been known for years to thrive in the sale of hand-me-down, what you properly call, what we call second-hand goods. That will be on Community U Report. Please keep listening. I'm Aghogho Oboh.
Hard Facts will be right back.